Plaintiff Michael Hildreth says the defendant was friends with his girlfriend. And when Michael needed a place to stay, the defendant took him in. However, Michael claims the defendant ridiculed him for being transgender, and he has the tape to prove it. He's suing for an illegal eviction, the cost of a hotel, and emotional distress. Defendant Anastasia Vigil says while Michael was in her home, they got into an argument over his dog, and Michael ended up tackling her and choking her. Anastasia claims she called the police, and she's countersuing for the assault, rent, and a mattress.
Start with you.
Well, I've known Anastasia for about 3 years. She was best friends with my girlfriend. We moved into her apartment complex and stayed there for about 3 years. Shortly after, me and my girlfriend moved out of there, and I needed somewhere to stay, and Anastasia let me stay with her. Starting in July, like I said, I needed somewhere to stay. At the beginning, it was 2 weeks. I paid her for those 2 weeks. Then I realized I needed more time, totaling in 6 months. She agreed to the 6 months.
Okay, what was the agreement for you to stay there?
$100 for 6 months.
Oh.
Per month.
Entire 6 months?
No, per month. $100 per month.
$100. What did you occupy? A room or?
A room, yes.
All right, so that was the deal. Go ahead.
Staying with her in the beginning, it was fine. And then shortly after, she pretty much switched character and started calling me derogatory names. I'm transgender. And I felt like she started to target me because of that.
Felt like? What did she say exactly?
She did. She started to refer to me as it instead of a person.
Saying it to you?
Saying it to me, yes.
Directly to you?
She was talking to either her child or there was a situation where we also had the police there and she was calling me it in front of the police officers. So there was witnesses to this situation.
Okay.
And I also submitted evidence into the courts as audio tapes of her saying it, if I can play it.
Sure.
He's a dumb it's the dumb
Keep disrespecting me, that's fine.
Really, but him is on hormones and it's scaring me, so I
But that's no reason for you to be like disrespectful towards me as a person.
Now he's gonna touch that. He needs to get out here before I call D and everybody else and they come to personally throw this little
That's cool, you can do that too. That's cool, you can do that too.
All right, that's enough. All right, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi. Explain what I just heard.
So he moved in with me around July 9th. And he was just being disrespectful and everything like that. And yes, I did get angry. But
Why'd you use hate language?
Because he started, okay. So what had happened was
What would you call me if I started something?
I wouldn't call you anything.
Because that's a derogatory. That's as equally as derogatory as it would be to me for a racial slur.
Okay, so the reason
referring to a transgender person as a it repeatedly.
But I've
then
always
saying he's getting hormones. He's scaring me because of the hormones. Throw this little bee out of my house. It's a dumb bee. Nothing but derogatory regarding his gender identification.
So I was angry. He called me a fat bee. And then, but before that, when
you have your evidence?
We've gotten into an argument about the money that he hasn't paid me. Because I told him he had 2
I know you want to skip that subject.
Himself.
Go ahead, you tell me about the money. So you went to the money, try to get away from that. Go ahead.
Like I said, the first living situation was the first 2 weeks I paid $50 until I realized I needed more time. I gave her $40 also for just household things just to use around the house. And then after that, I started to pay the $100 per month. I had a dog with me. She was a small Chihuahua. I have a picture of her as well. We had an incident where she said that my dog had pissed on her clothes. I wasn't too sure of it. I highly doubted that my dog had did it, but to resolve the issue, I washed her clothes and offered to wash her clothes. That was the first situation that I known that we had as a disagreement. I provided a solution for it.
Ma'am?
I had problems with the dogs. I didn't even know the dog was moving. His ex-girlfriend actually asked me if I wanted this dog.
The dog moved out without notice?
No. No, so he moved the dog in without notice from me. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So he so he moved the dog in without me and my consent.
Got
He
it.
just showed up with his dog and all of his stuff. So when it first started, he just needed until the 26th. And I said, okay, because he has to go to court.
That's the
So
first
now-
2 weeks, as he said.
Yep, exactly. So when he moved in, he said until the 26th, and I go, okay, well, how long do you need? And he was like, well, man, like, I don't go back to court for another 6 months. And I go, well, I can't do that because that goes against my landlords. The longest I could have a person at my home is 2 weeks to a month without it being like as if they moved in, okay? So after that trial, he ended up staying and I allowed him to stay.
How long? did
I
he
allowed
stay
him to
in
stay
town?
for a month. And then when he moved in, it was $50 because he was staying on the couch.
Transgender, and I felt like she started to target me because
Felt
of that.
like. What did she say exactly?
She did. She started to refer to me as it instead of a person,
Saying it to you?
saying it to me, yes,
Directly
referring
to you.
me. There was a situation where we also had the police there, and she was calling me it in front of the police officers. So there was witnesses to this situation.
Defendant Anastasia Vigil allowed the plaintiff to move in with her, and she claims while there, she called the police after the plaintiff tackled her and choked her.
Go ahead.
Now, I couldn't do my duties as a single mother for my children throughout the day because he works the overnight shift. So me trying to be a mom and trying to control my 1-year-old, you know, that's about to be 2, it was just too much. And then him being on the couch, I had to try to keep her quiet, try to let him sleep because I know he works the overnight, you know what I mean? I respected that. So when 2 weeks passed by and he came back, he had approached me and asked me if he could move into my daughter's room. And I said, well, I would have to talk to her about that. She is 8 years old. So when she said yes, he moved in, and that's when he agreed to start paying $100 a week. No 6 months. I told him a month, and I have the text messages.
Let's see that. That did sound very odd, sir. I said she
And I
had to
have
be in
the-
love
and-
with you to charge you $100 a month. I
No.
don't know who does that.
No, but
it was
I'm
the
very
fact-
humble in the text messages, as you can read.
Don't be trying to make up for the derogatory language, all that
I was-
stuff you done said. Now
I'm
you
so
talking about how
sorry. I was
humble
so
you are.
angry. I'm
Until
sorry.
you get mad.
He
You are a
scared-
very respectful, nice lady today. I would have never thought that until he handed me that. You went off
No, but
in the worst way.
he called me fat and scared my 1-year-old.
I didn't see that part. If you're gonna start here, I'm gonna need more help in cleaning the area. We need to talk later. I don't want to talk right now, right? I don't know if this house was spotless when I left. There's another 50 on the table. I cleaned the rest of the kitchen. You are being, but I don't see where you're referring to the 100 per week. You gave me too many papers to read there.
If you want to circle it.
All right. He says the agreement was 100 a month. You say 100 per week.
It was 100 a week when he moved to my daughter's room, so he could have his own privacy.
That's not true.
And he had
That
everything
makes sense.
with the closed door.
I'll let you look for it. In the meantime, you tell me about the eviction process.
The police told her that she would have to go either to the courts and file a restraining order on me or go through the eviction process. Shortly after, that's when I also have that audio recording where he's telling her exactly how to go about it.
Let's see it, please. To get a restraining order?
To get a
or the
restraining
eviction?
order and to get an eviction.
Okay.
And then shortly after, she called them back lying and saying that I assaulted her. But I was not charged with assault and she didn't have any marks on her, so they had no choice besides to make me leave the property.
Ma'am?
So the officers
Did
had
you
to came
find that,
twice.
though? Did you find the
No, it was a verbal
evidence?
agreement between us. I just remembered that it was a verbal
So you
agreement
hand me
for $100
10
a
pages
week.
thinking that knowing that I don't have time to go. That's what people do all the
Sorry,
time.
I'm
That's
so
a little
sorry.
slick move.
So I thought it was in here, but it was a verbal
I
agreement.
know you did.
So I apologize for that.
That's all right. Go ahead with the
But
soft con.
so the officers
Sorry,
showed up twice.
That's the soft con.
And-
And they come with that. Try to win me back. I apologize. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
I'm sorry.
You see how nice I am?
No,
Nice
no.
of a person.
a manipulator.
So actually, my dad was on the phone with me after the
Tell me about the altercation and the
Okay.
police visit.
So there's this and this.
What happened? What started it?
So just these three papers started it.
What? I ain't looked in your paper. No, ma'am.
Okay.
You tell me what. You know
So
we've
anyway,
done that.
it was
Been
just-
there, done that.
So
Go
it was
ahead.
just me telling him, like, I mean this in the most humble manner. I knocked on the door. He said that he paid $300 to me, and he did not.
Mm-hmm.
He only paid $150. So when I
He
had
told you this face to face?
yes.
Uh-huh.
So when he had opened the door, because I knocked and he had opened the door, and I told him, you did not pay $300.
You came
And-
unexpectedly without
No,
notice?
I knocked. And he knew because we were texting room from room because that's how uncomfortable it was in
Got
my
it.
house.
Mhm.
So I told him that he didn't pay the $300 and I told him how the dog was a problem and it just escalated and pretty soon I had to call him to ask him if he could tell him to leave my home because he started banging on his chest and don't call me a B, don't call me out my name, and like yelling at the top of his lungs. And my daughter's freaked out like, ooey, ooey. So I didn't know what to do. So I called him and asked him, can you please help me get this man out of my house? Because he's going crazy and he is scaring me. So I called the police because he was like, well, I'm gonna do a civil standby and I'm gonna get you kicked out and this and that. And I said, well, I will call the cops. So I called the cops and they showed up. Well, I was still on the phone with my father when the cops showed up. And he's just running through my house. This is my house, B. Yup, this is my house. This is my house. Like screaming like crazy. And I'm like, you need to tone it down, dude. Like you need to calm down because you're getting too irate and you're scaring my child. I don't give an I don't give an And he was just cussing at him, telling him off, and I'm gonna beat your mother, bud. And I was like, you know what? I was
never
like, you
seen
keep.
your dad a day in my life until now.
No, it was on the phone. He was on the phone with me the whole time. So he was recording, and he said he's gonna try to get me for animal abuse and child abuse. So when he was recording, I grabbed the phone to see if he was recording, and he tackled me and grabbed me by my throat. So I have a statement here from my neighbor and a statement from my mom.
What happened with the police?
I tackled her.
I ran out to my neighbor's house because I was really scared. I was afraid because I don't know what
You
he
never
was
spoke with
capable
the
of.
police about these things?
Huh?
Did you speak with the police about being choked?
Yes,
I wasn't charged with assault.
but he wasn't charged with assault. But when I went
Why
to
not?
the neighbors,
Why not? Why not?
because at that point they were trying to give him jail time, and I just wanted him out of the house.
Got it. All right.
And I have a
he
statement
can throw
from
you
my
down
mother
and
and
choke
my
you all
neighbor.
you want, long as he move. No problem with the throw down and the choke.
just wanted him
That's
out of my
all right,
house.
just long as you move. All right.
Well, I went to my neighbors right after because I didn't want to fight with him.
Defendant Anastasia Vigil allowed the plaintiff to move in with her, and she claims while there, she called the police after the plaintiff tackled her and choked her.
Tell me about the hotel.
Well, I had to pretty much move into a motel because I didn't have nowhere else to go because of how that situation ended, and I had work that night.
All right, and the counterclaim, how does he owe you for rent, mattress, pain, and suffering due to an assault?
So he hasn't paid me for the 2 weeks that he was supposed to pay me for.
Got that.
And I had asked him to leave the residence, and he said, well, if I'm getting kicked out, then I'm not going to pay for the 2 weeks.
Okay. What about the mattress, ma'am?
So I have a picture of the mattress. I tried to bleach it, but it's not a very good
What's
photo.
wrong with it?
It's soaked all the way down.
But she
with
can't
dog
prove
piss.
that my
With,
dog did
with
that.
dog
And it
urine?
stinks. Yeah,
Let me
he
see
tried
the
to blame it
picture.
on my
Let
children.
me see.
She can't say that my dog did that when my dog was never on her bed.
Did you have any communications, perhaps,
Yeah,
regarding
I
the
have
dog?
text messages for the
Pardon
bed.
me?
I have text messages with him for my bed and my stuff that the
Okay,
dog peed.
that's where I need to see that. Now, don't hand me 10. Hand me 1 or 2 pages that shows me something about the dog. Hey, Mike, I made my bed last night, and I guess she has been peeing on the side of it. It reeks, but you haven't apologized for any of her actions, nor volunteered to clean up after her. The response, can you do another month? Oh, this is you again.
We had talked in person after that text right there. We had talked in person.
All right. Emotional distress. I'm not sure who caused each other the emotional distress. I know she made derogatory remarks in front of folks regarding
Yes,
your
that
gender
personally
identification.
bothers me,
But she
yes.
also makes reference to some of the things you did, and I believe you were messy that day as well. So I'm not granting anybody anything other than the illegal eviction in the hotel for you. And ma'am, I'll grant you unpaid rent, $350 for the time that you did stay there with her, and $500 for the mattress. $850 is your judgment. $1,270 is your judgment for the illegal eviction and for the hotel stay. Have a good day. That's my judgment.
At the end of the day, everybody has their own perception of people. All I can say is who she really is. They didn't get a chance to see everything of who she really is. And my judgment of me, I am who I am. And I'm not going to change that, and I'm not a violent person, and she still can't
He's a
portray me to be that.
narcissist.